last night. Robin Washington, HuskerOnline.com coming up. We'll talk some hoops and some
his Giants.
I got it written down. We got hoops. We got football with Robin Washington. Coach talked yesterday. Talk about that. The Husker Presser. Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com as well in hour number 2. Interesting stuff in the recruiting world as you see some of their top guys making other visits or getting other offers. Talk about that as we get to their stories that we missed and a whole lot more today. And a whole lot of you. Feel free, 402-489-1240. Or jump on YouTube. Look up the Morning Hookup. Check us out. Doubleheader last night. A lot of interesting stuff when you look at the 4 teams that played. Okay. Game number 1. Let's look at that one real quick. You had 2 0-for teams. One had to get a win.
Good highlights in the game. One big one, like 2.
Yes. One was going to come out still 0-for. One was going to get a win. One got a win, but a huge loss in that one. The Dolphins get it done 27-21. On the Jet side, boys, sloppy football. On that side, they dropped to 0-4 with a promising start when you look at their start, the way the offense started to look, but they took a bunch of steps back last night. Dolphins might have took some steps ahead, but unfortunately, the gruesome knee injury to Tyreek Hill. That will put a damper on a 27-21 win. He'll be out the rest of the season. Hopefully, as they go through surgery today with the ACL and other ligaments and the knee dislocation, that we're not talking about a career with an injury like that, because that was nasty last night.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty in any semblance of the word. But, Miami needed this one. Mike McDaniel needed this win. And he needed it in a bad way. And you know what? They showed up and got it. It was kind of like you said, Hooks. The Jets just took forever to get going. And by the time that they were really rolling, it was far too.
I don't understand, because I think this is contrasting conversations. We're going to talk about the Jets versus what the Broncos did last night. The Jets, why do offensive coordinators get so cute? You look at the Jets last night. What was their bread and butter against the Dolphins? Run the damn ball. Then they got cute with play action and all kinds of weird little stuff. Just overall sloppy. When you look at those first drives the Jets were a part of, man, they were just running the ball. Now, not getting points, making some mistakes with fumbles, but run the ball. Because the Dolphins were not stopping running the football. When you look at it, 404 total yards for the Jets. They had 197 on the ground. Fields goes for 226. He did have some costly turnovers, but at one point he ends up 7 for 81 and a touchdown, a 43-yard scamper for a touchdown.
That scamper looked pretty cool.
That was
video game stuff. My gosh.
Reverse the field around, down, jukes a couple guys out of his shoes. You think, okay, he's going to get down to 10, makes one more move, and he scores. That was a nice play.
Yeah, this one comes down to a couple of fumbles. You had Braylon Allen going in. Nice play by the defensive player, knocking out just before the goal line. Fields getting sacked in a fumble. But it was that. And then on the other side, well-called game by McDaniel on that side of the offense. To his best probably performance so far this year, 17-25, 177, did not turn the ball over, 2 touchdowns. Achane goes for 99 and the touchdown, and they get it done. They're on the win column now in a terrible division.
Absolutely awful division. I mean, I get the Patriots hung up 42. It was Carolina. Okay, they're basically playing the equivalent of Alabama's reserves. Okay, let's be totally frank here. But good win for the Dolphins. They needed that one so badly, so badly, just for Mike McDaniel to kind of cool the hot seat for a bit, because right now that bad boy was blazing right on the bomb.
Wasn't pretty. Game number 2 got started about an hour after.
That was dumb.
I'm sure Elijah was preparing himself.
Let's be honest. You were hoping when you saw Jets and Dolphins that game 2 would be the better game. They were both pretty gross Monday Night Football games. I do apologize to America as a Broncos fan because, the Broncos offense looked good, but we had, 23 combined penalties with the two teams?
Yeah, it was ugly.
It was a flag fest. Even was it Joe Buck Who's color commentary
I
last
don't
year?
know.
Was it Troy?
It was Troy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but Joe was trying to throw flags himself.
yeah. And Troy was saying like some of these flags are unnecessary. It was a brutal watch with all those flags. It was a brutal watch with the Bengals offense. Broncos rolled. There's not much else to
What
say.
wasn't brutal, which I thought, and Elijah, you can comment on this because you're near and dear to the Broncos, is Sean Payton called one of the best games I think he called from the play sheet. He played right to the strings, over 500 yards of offense, 186 on the ground. Bo knows. Bo throws for 326, 2 touches. And boy, it was almost perfect, except for the one dumb interception in the end zone.
Mo Pick strikes
Bo Pick
again.
strikes again. But flawless, pretty much.
The thing I'll say is I do think on fourth down, while you'd love to make the Bengals and their atrocious offense as it stands right now go 98 yards, I think that's a throw you make because it's fourth down and like
You got to
well, you do. Oh, remember Russell Wilson on fourth down 2 weeks ago, throwing it off the goalpost. Like you reach a point on fourth down where you go, okay, well, if it's a pick, is it that costly? I trust my defense out there. We're here to score 7 points.
The old Joe Flacco arm punt. You know what I'm saying?
But
Just huck that bad boy 50 yards in the air and just pin him deep.
It's crazy though. It was fourth and a long one from the 2.
Yeah.
Or no, fourth and a long 2 from the 1.
Yes.
Whatever it was.
Math is hard.
Whatever it was.
Distances are hard.
Yeah. Tries to fit into a tight window, gets picked off, but it's okay because the Broncos get that touchdown back before the half.
They do.
500 yards of offense. The Broncos
512.
It was
what we got 512, 326 in the air, 186 on the ground.
I do know it's the most yards of offense Denver's put up since Peyton Manning was the quarterback.
Found the way. I thought he called a great game. Got the running attack. Really nice. How about Dobbins breaking the 100-yard mark, 16 carries for 101. Harvey gave you a little nice pop in there.
And his first career NFL touchdown. First career NFL
14
touchdown.
for 50. He also caught some passes, 4 for 40 last night. Big time performance from Denver as they needed it, with being 1-2, now 2-2. Boy, on the opposite side of that, the Bengals are awful. They are just flat out awful, sloppy. Like, I think you can get dominated in games, but the optics, the way Zach Taylor led Bengals team last night looked, was incredibly bad. That is bad, especially like you said on a Monday night. They were awful.
And I worry because we're all big Zach Taylor fans around here.
Yeah.
And he's a huge Nebraska ball super fan.
He is.
He is. The
He
problem
might be
is
spending a lot more time watching those games if he doesn't watch out.
he is the easiest scapegoat in this situation, but I don't think it's his fault. I've talked about it through the offseason. I've talked about it here this fall. Whenever I think it's almost 80% of your cap space is taken up by 4 players, and one of those players, your best player, Joe Burrow, goes down injured. Joe Burrow, and I think the broadcast team said this at some point in the fourth quarter, Joe Burrow has been a very, very convenient Band-Aid for that football team in that you have issues on that roster that he has gone and cleaned up with like end of last season. And that Bengals team got hot. Joe Burrow was putting up 400-plus yards every single game. He was getting it up to Jamar Chase. He's getting it up to T. Higgins. He's bringing you back in the fourth quarter into football games and winning things for you late. He's the reason you're in the playoff conversation at the end of last season. The Bengals were one of the best teams in the NFL. It was because of Joe Burrow. Whenever that guy goes down, your Band-Aid's gone.
That roster's bad.
Oh, boy,
it is bad. There are holes everywhere. That thing looks like a block of Swiss cheese.
Terrible offense. One of the worst in the NFL. Chase Brown, he ain't Joe Mixon.
Not at all.
You lost Joe Mixon, and whenever you have the threat of the passing attack and Joe Burrow, his pre-snap processing, it helps Chase Brown. Whenever you don't have that, Chase Brown is a shell of himself. He is not the same player. Joe Burrow helps him out a lot. That defense, I mean, they're built to give up 24 points a game with an offense that'll open up 30.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you don't have an offense that puts up 30, last night happened. 28-3. I mean, there's just so many issues with that roster. Defensively, the only positive is Trey Hendrickson.
He's got a motor.
There's no one else in that defense.
And
Cam Taylor, I love you, but he's not one of those corners that you can just go leave out on an island and take out the team star receiver. He's a great cornerback pairing if you have a great corner on the other side, but he's their best corner, which is an issue for the Bengals. Just being real here. Like, there's so many issues with that roster that when Joe Burrow's out, it's one of the worst teams.
It's glaring. It is glaring. It doesn't get any easier when you look ahead for Cincinnati. They'll be at home. That's going to be positive next week because they're going to welcome the Detroit Lions to town to Cincinnati next week. And big win for Denver, by the way. Talked about it yesterday. Getting to 2-2 because they got to head to Philadelphia next week to take on, which I think is a good matchup, by the way, for Denver next week. When we talked about the offensive struggles of the Philadelphia Eagles.
I think Denver's equipped to stop them. Denver is equipped. That doesn't mean that they will, but I think that defensive personnel-wise, they are very much equipped to stop them. And I think Philadelphia's passing attack really leaves a lot to be desired. They are not an amazing passing team. I think part of that is just because of the design. They are willing to be a ground and pound team, but it's also I don't love Jalen Hurts as a passer.
They don't either. It was 0 for 8 for no yards in the second half on Sunday.
Yeah, and they don't trust him. And A.J. Brown might request a trade, and if I was him, I would, because you're not going to get targets on that team. Not anymore.
It's interesting matchup next week as they'll head that way. Put you on the spot real quick. You guys got a top three or a reaction to the top three and a bottom three? I'll throw mine out there. This is my new top three. I think they're I still think the Bills at the top.
Yeah.
I'm putting the Eagles in there. They went in there last week, but they're winning.
Broncos got the Eagles next week. So
They're winning. I'll put them in there. And the Lions. I think the Lions check in as one of those top three teams right now with the shakeup of what's happening around the NFL. After their week one, what they've done in the last few weeks, there's something to be reckoned with. Not discounting your Packers quite yet. They give up a lot of points.
Well, I mean, that was Dallas' Super Bowl. I mean, what do you want me to say? I mean, their defense was optional in that game, Hooksy.
Yep.
It was just like watching the NBA. You sat there and you went, "Oh, we're gonna try to stop somebody."
Yep.
Nope. Okay, go put up more points.
That's where I'm at when I throw them in there.
I go Bills 1. Got to put the Eagles 2, though. The team doesn't feel team.
Here's the thing.
That defense is good enough to be
Optically, you look at it, it's hard. Like you said, I think last week, they are winning. Despite of their own struggles, they're winning.
It's so ugly.
It is ugly, but
ugly.
they're winning.
But they're undefeated.
They're undefeated.
It's ugly, but they're undefeated.
By hook or by crook, man.
How is it? Yeah, you got. I mean, until it's to me, it's like in basketball or whatever. If you're number one, until you get beat, you're number one.
How about this for a hot take for number 3, though? The LA Rams.
I was gonna say the Rams. The Rams are my number 3. It go Bills, Eagles, Rams for me.
Yeah.
I think the Rams. I think the
Rams.
Rams are a darn good football team.
I don't have a problem with that.
I think they are, because I don't think the Packers weren't being in the top 3 right now. The recent form's left a lot, and it's partially because that offensive line is just beat up. I do think that the Rams are playing better football right now, and outside of the lone, spec to the Eagles, they've been pretty much flawless this year. I mean, they've been really good.
And I don't think we talk enough about Puka maybe being the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, he's got to start getting thrown in those conversations with Jefferson and Chase. I mean, the guy's unreal.
He's unstoppable.
Yeah.
Absolutely unstoppable.
They get next week looking ahead.
So quickly here, Puka's stats this year. Let's take you through his game log.
100.
Week 1, 10 receptions, 130 yards with no touchdowns. Week 2, 8 receptions, 91 yards, again, no touchdowns. Against the Eagles, 11 receptions, 112 yards. Again, no touchdowns, though. And then the Colts, 13 receptions, 170 yards in his first touchdown of the year. He already has 42 receptions for 503 yards across 4 games.
He leads the entire league, by the way, by right at 100 yards. Next close is Jackson Smith and Jigba with 402.
He's been cooking in Seattle. I'll tell you what, they got a decent little ball club out there. They do. There's a reason that Ravens fans were very sad that Mike McDonald decided to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And now they probably regret that because they got blasted.
Quietly enough, again, just maybe being a West Coast team not talked about as much, and I agree with what you're saying about the Rams. Matthew Stafford is number 2 in passing yards, only 5 yards behind a MVP performance so far like Dak Prescott has been for the Cowboys.
To me, Matthew Stafford kind of feels like the last bastion of that quarterback crop from like 10 to 15 years ago, where it just felt like those elite guys were going to go for 400 yards with or without a running game every single week. Like those kind of pre-snap processors that can really go and slice and dice the defense. I know the modern NFL with its people talk about the influence of the Vic Fangio defense and how it's changed how modern offenses operate. You wouldn't know it when you watch Matthew Stafford play.
No, he just picks guys apart.
Yeah.
That's what he does. I mean, he just shows up. He'll sling it for 400 yards and just clock out, put some ice on the arm. It's literally what it is. It's impressive. I mean, like Burrow's probably the closest. I mean, like just like from a pure processor standpoint, and like a guy who like for your team to win, like kind of goes and just picks apart a defense just willingly. Like he's the closest thing I could see. I think there's a guy in college who unironically plays a lot like Matthew Stafford. I think it's a guy who resides actually a couple miles up the road.
You're going there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Talking for Trey Taylor? No, he's not in college yet.
No.
About? Oh, TJ Latif.
That's it. That's the guy. That's the guy.
It's certainly not the guy that what is it? People compare to Patrick Mahomes. No, he doesn't play like Patrick Mahomes. To me, it's a lot like Matthew Stafford, and scouts agree with me on that.
Yeah, it was Gary Danielson that during the Michigan Nebraska broadcast, and once you see it, you can't unsee it.
No. It's literally like
mannerisms wise, yeah, he looks like Patrick Mahomes. In terms of what he looks like in the pocket, it's Matthew
Stafford.
Because multiple arm angles. People forget that before Mahomes, Matthew Stafford was doing the multiple arm angles thing, and it was freaking impressive.
Real quick before we go to break, bottom three, the worst teams in the NFL. Boy, it's hard not to put Cincinnati there after looking at last night. But
Cincinnati and the Jets, you can put two.
I think it's pretty interchangeable at the bottom two, probably Saints.
Well, Saints.
I threw Tennessee in there now.
Saints. I go Saints, Titans,
and I threw the Jets in there. I put the Jets at the bottom three. Jets, Titans, Saints.
I go Saints, Titans, Panthers. I don't think one win exempts you from the bottom. I think that Jets football team right now in a neutral field would beat the Carolina Panthers. So
what about the Raiders? They're also pretty bad right now.
It's not
bad.
Not Genty's fault, although if he had that it factor, maybe he could go for more than 3 touchdowns. No. What a stupid take that is.
That's great.
So, it's not good because he doesn't have an it factor. No. It's 3 games into the season. Will you relax?
I also saw the take. Oh yeah, Ashton Genty had a better week this week. He went back to his college stance where he's more upright in the back.
Oh gosh, I heard that.
I saw that take, and I'm like, all right.
Have you seen that line he's running behind? It's atrocious.
Yeah.
This is an NFL rookie who's still getting his feet wet. I don't think it was the fact that he was slightly more upright in the backfield that led him. Hey, maybe he's a little more comfortable getting to the line of scrimmage, but it hasn't been his fault that he's been bottled up early in his NFL career. His offensive line is atrocious. They block better for him against the Bears.
Yep, I agree.
Because the Bears' defensive line is
not good. They paid him a lot of money, and they're not good.
All right, great stuff. Again, happy Tuesday. Good morning, Randy. 40. Good morning, Ernesto. Thanks for hanging out with us and everybody else out there. Let's take a break.
I'm not sure we mentioned this. Tyreek Hill pairs up. It was a weird situation. He got carted off. We didn't really dive into that. Clapping and smiling.
He was trying to be on like one of those Kanye West praise God said it.
You wonder how much the adrenaline was running through him. And it's like he was getting support as he was leaving. In a career, he hasn't seen a lot of support because of on the field and off the field antics that he's been. But that was nasty.
He's seen a lot of support. It just usually comes out of his wallet.
Yeah, Jesus. Wow. You just worry with a guy like that. He's aging, and what has made his career special has been his explosiveness and his jitterbug nature, and a lower body injury like that.
There's a long recovery as they hopefully, for the human being himself, that the not more internal damage than anticipated from the blood flow perspective and all that. So again, agree, prayers up for him. So let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to our guy from Husker Online, Robin Washington. That thing was nasty.
Yeah. Bad.
All right.
That thing was dirty.
Sorry, I had to slip that one in there.
That's all right. I like it. It's a little.
It's true.
We got Robin Washington. He's gonna be a happy guy.
He is gonna be a happy guy.
You get a dude, you got a dude.
We can,
and then you lose a dude.
We can finally get his thoughts on Nebraska ball's practice. Finally.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I took an early look at the Big Ten Conference basketball-wise. There are a couple teams where you go, wow. And then there's a lot of teams where you go, okay, you have 1 or 2 nice players. What are you?
Ooh. Sorry, my fantasy league has had the first probably big trade of the season.
Oh, really?
Ricky Pearsall, Emeka Ibuka, and Alvin Kamara for Cam Scatterbu, Justin Jefferson, and T. Higgins.
In a non-keeper league?
Non-keeper.
Well, okay. I kind of understand that more.
It's perfect timing that I get to talk to Robin Washit today. We played each other in fantasy last week. Wait till I
talk about the score.
Oh, should
It's posted with stat corrections.
I have a
Yep.
question. I've been proposed to trade. We were discussing this last night.
You've been proposed to.
Okay. I have a good tight end room. My wide receivers need some work. I've been offered Chris Godwin and $10 in free waiver wire money for Hunter Henry and Austin Eckler.
Wait a minute.
Eckler's out for the year, so I'm not sure why he was thrown into the deal.
What? He tried to give you a guy that doesn't play?
No, I have Eckler. So I'd be
Oh,
sitting.
he wants him.
I guess.
Hey, that $10 can get you Ja'Cory
I like-
Krosky
I mean-
Merritt if he isn't gone already.
He's been gone. He got drafted.
Take it.
I think I'm going to take it. 'cause
Can you just say I don't want the? Just send me the $10 in cash.
My tight ends are Hunter Henry. I have Britton Strange, and then I also have on my IR George Kittle. So I think it makes sense for me to get offload a tight end.
Yeah,
Yes,
offload an
offload.
asset.
And I need a wide receiver. I have Jameson Williams and Brian Thomas Jr., and they've both been underwhelming.
I like it. I don't hate it.
Just kills me. He's taking Austin Eckler.
I don't hate it. Oh, I can't believe you know what I really do hate? Once you've seen the injury once, everybody quit posting it. Huh? Quit posting that crap. Luckily, welcome back to the Morning Hookup. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for hanging out with us. Bringing our guy from HuskerOnline.com, Robin Washit. Washit, what's up?
Nothing much. Just still wiping away the sweat from our down to the wire fantasy matchup this week.
I just mentioned it. Boys, I was playing Robin Washit last night. I am 0 for, by the way, in this league. I was 0 for 3. Washit's roster definitely better than mine. I'm in a rebuild kind of wait and see year, but my team has performed well as of late in the first 4. But Washit had more assets coming into last night's game. I had a little less. He wins 203.2 to 202.6. Washit gets on the board. He's now 2-2. I fall to 0-4.
Big win for the fellas.
There's another big win for the fellas. How about your G-Man round?
Woo! Jackson Dart.
Yeah, in typical Giants fashion, we get our first win and the debut of their future quarterback and then lose our best player in the process for the season. So nothing can ever be like just actual joy. There always has to be some layer of depression. But you know what? It's a long game, and it's not like we're going to make the playoffs anyway this year. So as long as Jackson Dart continues to, 1, stay healthy, 2, look promising, then that's all I ask for. Just give me a semblance of hope. And, you know, despite Malik Neighbors going down, they showed at least some signs of life for the first time in a while.
Hey, if you have Wan'Dale Robinson on your fantasy team, it's probably good. Do you have him? Did you go the former Husker out there?
No, all he does is drop passes. He dropped a touchdown pass on Sunday.
But
They get Darius Slayton if you're going to get anybody. Wan'Dale,
Wan'Dale's he's going to
not
get
a fan
his
of that.
target share is going up though.
yeah, well, Darius Slayton's going to you buy low on him. Like if you get a waiver pickup, because just for some reason they just keep hanging on to him, and now it's his time to shine. So if anybody is going to see a substantial uptick in targets, it's going to be Darius Slayton.
Okay, he's available in my fantasy waiver wire. So thank you for the insight.
You better get on that before somebody steals it during the show.
Yeah, you guys asked Robin a question. I'm just kidding. We got Robin Wash at HuskerOnline.com hanging out with us. Let's talk some hoops first. You got a chance to watch some practice and kind of evaluate just a little bit. And you and I kind of chatted about it a little bit. Give me some thoughts on what the MO of this team is going to be, because I feel like Husker fans should listen and be ready for anybody on the floor can shoot. Don't be disappointed when you see a lot of shots going up from a lot of different dudes from a lot of different places.
Yeah, you nailed it. Shooting is going to be the hallmark of this team, and that's certainly welcome news after last year when I don't know if they could have shot the ball much worse outside of Bryce Williams. So the good news is that they've not only have a couple guys that are legitimate 3-point threats. They've got an entire roster full of them. I would venture to say there's not a guy on the team that if they had the ball and had an open three, you'd be like, oh no, don't shoot it, because all of them are capable shooters. I think everybody that is going to be on the floor is, above a 30% career 3-point shooter. So like that in itself will lend this team to playing probably as close to the way Fred Hoiberg wants to play, going back to like kind of his MO and style of offense than maybe any team he's had here. Now they're not the most athletic. They are probably going to lack some things on the defensive end, in terms of just being able to stay in front of guys one-on-one. But the good news is you can scheme around that. And they got Nate Lenzer, who, has good of a system to compensate for maybe a lack of defensive athleticism as anybody. And as long as they're shooting at a high clip and playing with the spacing that they're capable of playing, and Rink Mass stays healthy and plays, at as his usual all Big Ten level, they'll have something to work with. I think Fred's kind of made the commitment that last year they may have overcorrected a bit. Coming off the NCAA tournament loss to A&M, it felt like they almost tried to assemble a roster to beat the 2023-24 Texas A&M Aggies, where as a result, they left themselves really handcuffed offensively. And I don't think you'll ever see that again, at least as long as Fred's going to be here. The shooting will be the hallmark of this team this season and every season going forward. I don't think they'll recruit a player, portal, high school, otherwise, who isn't a legitimate, capable 3-point shooter. So I would expect a lot of threes, a lot of spacing, and, a leading scorer probably going to be different every single night, just given the variety of weapons they have.
Yeah, Robin, when you look at this team, I want to go straight to that forward room. You talked about Rink Mass playing at an all Big Ten level and multiple shooters in multiple positions. They brought in Ugnis Yarashevicius from Central Michigan. They get in an intriguing freshman in Leo Curtis. They love what they've seen out of Braden Frager. They bring in Jared Garcia from the portal from Tulsa. What do you like about that forward room? Is it dynamism? Is it, getting returning experience in Berke Buchtengel and Rink Mass? What do you like so much about that forward room? What do we have to look forward to?
That's the depth, first and foremost. They've got a lot of bodies. And then again, all of them are capable offensively. No, not to single out Braxton Mia, but when he was on the floor, Nebraska was a different team because he was so limited offensively and really didn't give you much of anything on that end of the floor, where now you have Rink and Oogie at the 5, and obviously Rink's going to be their best player, and Oogie has, for a guy his size, maybe one of the most surprising offensive skill sets of any of those newcomers, where he's a legitimate 6'10", 230 some pounds, and has a really pretty stroke from 3. So even if Rink comes out, Oogie can step in and still provide that spacing, because teams are going to have to account for Oogie on the perimeter just like they do Rink. And then when you bring the bigs out of the paint, suddenly everything becomes significantly easier offensively for the rest of your system. So that's what I like about the 5 spot. The 4 spot starts with Berke, and the strides he supposedly made this offseason, getting himself in shape. Last year, he was playing at over 260 pounds. Now he's down to 240, something like that. So he's lost a bunch of weight. He looks trim, athletic, and as long as he's another guy that's kind of got an injury history, so put him in the category of needs to stay healthy. But the work that he's put in, I think, is going to pay off to where you're going to see a little bit more dynamic Berke, and he's right up there as maybe as big of an X factor as anybody. Because if he plays at his potential, keep in mind, when he was at UCLA, people were talking about him being a potential NBA draft pick. And so clearly the basketball world has thought pretty highly of him for a while, and, injuries or whatever it is has kind of held him back. If he can get back up to that potential and you pair him with Rink Mast, all of a sudden Nebraska has arguably as good of an offensive front court as there is in the conference. So that is where it starts. And then you add in, Garcia. And we'll see where Leo Curtis fits in. I think he's skilled enough to play right away. Defensively, he's got a long way to go just with his size and strength. And that's, kind of par for the course with any true freshman international kid that comes in. They just got to get bigger and stronger. especially in their upper body, and that's the case with Leo. So if he does play, it'll probably be sparse minutes, kind of at the end of the rotation. But that right there with Garcia, he brings maybe a little bit more of that physicality than the other guys do, where the other guy bigs are maybe a little more finesse. Garcia brings a little bit more of that toughness while also capable shooting. So there's a lot to like in the fact that they're deep and they have guys that there's really not a lot of drop off from starter to bench. The one concern is pretty much everybody I listed has injury concerns. Rink's coming off surgery. Berke missed a bunch of time last year with an ankle. Jared Garcia had knee surgery. And then Oogie missed 2 weeks this summer with a back thing. So that's kind of the ultimate qualifier across the board is, Nebraska, you like what their roster looks like on paper, but they need those pieces to be available. And, that's just a huge question mark that you kind of keep your fingers crossed that they're able to stay healthy and on the floor together. Because if they do, I think that they've got a lot of depth and a lot of intriguing pieces that, could give them a chance this season.
It's Robin Washut with us here. And Robin, I was lucky enough to be on the call for a Braden Frager 30-burger against Lincoln North Star his senior year. He redshirts last year. What does Fred Hoiberg expect from him this year? What does Fred Hoiberg need from him this year in terms of actual on-the-court contributions?
I mean, he's not Juwan Gary, but he's probably the closest thing Nebraska has. For one, he's probably a better shooter than Juwan, as you probably saw in that game. He's not as athletic and probably not as good of an on-ball defender as Juwan was, but that's what made Juwan so unique. But what I really like about Braden is, for one, he's probably the most athletic player on the team. And, you talk about the work Berke put in. Braden Frager's spent a whole year doing that, where he was the first guy in the gym every single day. And he really transformed his body to where, when he was out for a while with a wrist injury last year. And so he just kind of devoted to the weight room. He got almost 235 pounds. And that's a built 235. And he's since kind of trimmed down now to where he's around 225. And I think that's where they want to keep him. But there's no concern about him being able to hold up physically. He is as physical and strong and athletic as any player on that roster. And with a year of experience now, practicing against Big Ten competition and kind of seeing, sitting courtside and then seeing the Big Ten in person, I think he's in a much better position now to make an immediate impact. And no matter what, he's going to play a ton, but it would not surprise me at all if he starts at some point this season, if not right out of the gate, just because of the elements that he brings. There's a lot of similarities with this roster about guys that can shoot and size, but not everybody can do the things Braden can do. And it's not just from a athletic standpoint. He's got that tenacity to him where he's going to go fight for a loose ball. He's going to scrap with opposing players. He's going to play those kind of mental games where he's going to get under guys' skin and get them flustered, just kind of have that nastiness. And, our guy, Henry T. Buchanan, had a great comparison where he said Braden Frager looks like Bo Reed. And he said every time we practice against Bo Reed, it didn't even matter what team you were on. If you ran by him, you were getting an elbow to the ribs. And Braden's kind of got a little of that to him. And for a team that, again, is so built around skill and shooting, you got to have a dog in there. And I think Braden Frager is probably the closest thing that they have to a true Big Ten dog on the roster.
Robin, real quick, talk us through something that's handcuffing probably all of college sports right now is the lingering 5-of-5 rule right now from the recruiting side. Football is waiting on it. College basketball is waiting on it. But talk about what the impact of that would be if and when, because it seems like it will get there, but needs to be sooner than later. But what the impact would be from a college basketball roster as they move forward on the recruiting side.
Well, it's probably the biggest thing that could happen to a team like Nebraska, because then all of a sudden you're not having to replenish your entire roster next year. In fact, beyond Jared Garcia, Rink Mass, and Sam Hoiberg, Nebraska could theoretically bring back every single player from this season's roster back next year. And so that's a huge component to how Nebraska is kind of approaching its recruiting, not just with, its 2026 high school class, but potentially how they approach the portal as well. Because if they bring everybody back, then suddenly you only need a couple pieces. They already have the one kid. They've got what's his name? Why can't I think of his name? The kid from Iowa.
Colin Rice.
Colin Rice. Thank you. I blanked on that. They already got him on board. So like, if you're really looking at like 3 spots, they might not take another high school kid. They might go get 2 transfers and maybe some multi-year transfers to kind of balance things out a little bit. But that's a huge looming X factor for Nebraska's future roster management. And then the other thing that isn't getting talked about enough is there's also on the table going back to the one-time transfer rule, where if you transfer again, you have to sit out a year. And well, all of a sudden, if that passes, Connor Season can't transfer. Price Sanford can't transfer. Barrick Abiogengel can't transfer. So like all these like key pieces that you would potentially worry about leaving if they left to another school, they would have to sit out a year. So that helps Nebraska with its ability to retain that roster. So those are the 2 big X factors for Nebraska and for a lot of other schools that could go a long way in help evening the playing field in this NIL era, where Nebraska's they're not financially able to compete dollar for dollar with most of the teams in their conference. But if they can keep the players they already have on board, then all of a sudden, Nebraska's going to have a much better chance to stay competitive because Matt Rule himself will tell you that roster retention oftentimes is just as important as additions.
It's Robin Washut with this here. And Robin, you mentioned Matt Rule. Let's talk some Husker football. What are your big questions for this Husker football team as we enter Michigan State week? What do you want to see on Saturday to answer some of those questions?
Well, what's going to happen at tackle? I think that's everybody's big question right now. The interior offensive line wasn't great, but they were adequate. Tackle was a total disaster. Like their ability to protect the quarterback, even against 4, even 3-man fronts, was a serious concern because not every pass or defensive line they see is going to be quite as talented as Michigan, but they're going to be close. And if you can't win simple one-on-one matchups and are getting toasted for 15 quarterback pressures and 7 sacks, that cuts your offense in half to where all of a sudden you can't do anything more than a 3 or 5 step drop. You can't have time for receivers to get downfield for the vertical passing game. And, all of a sudden you're having to nickel and dime everything. And that's hard because that puts so much pressure on the quarterback to be precise and mistake free. And if you make a mistake, it can kill you because your ability to make up for those mistakes is significantly more difficult. So that's pass protection, particularly the tackles, has to get better. Michigan State doesn't offer nearly the challenge as Michigan, but there's still Big Ten rush ends and linebackers and all that are going to go. They're going to look at that Michigan film and say we're going to attack these tackles and see how they respond. So whoever it is, if they give Elijah Pritchett more snaps, if they stick with Katula and Prohaska or whatever it may be, whoever's on the field has to play better. None of those tackles played well against Michigan, and you can shake up the lineup all you want, but whoever's out there has to step up, and they have to keep Dylan upright and give him time to be the type of quarterback he can be. Because if everything's an underneath check down, suddenly Nebraska's offense is kind of back to where it's been for the last few years.
Robin, last thought before we get you out here, how much does Aiden Childs worry you?
A little bit. Like he's a dual threat. Like he's kind of like Underwood, where like he is a big physical guy, but they don't like run him like Cincinnati did with Brendan Sorsby. So like, Michigan had like the one big run from Underwood and then like a couple of scrambles. But so in all, I thought they did an okay job containing him on the ground. It was the traditional running game that bit him. But, with what Michigan State does and kind of their limitations offensively, like everything runs through Aiden Childs. So like that is where it starts for Nebraska's defense. And you talk about rushing the passer, like you have to make him beat you with his arm. Anytime you have a dual threat guy like that, you have to make him one-dimensional. And sure, that starts with containing the pocket, but it starts on first and second down. Like winning first down and keeping Michigan State off schedule to where all of a sudden not every second down is 2nd and 2 or 2nd and 3 or 3rd and 1. Like, those are the things, like the old adage, Nebraska has to earn the right to rush the passer. They have to earn the right to make, Michigan State's offense one-dimensional. And then if you can do that, suddenly you're not nearly as concerned about the dual threat aspect because, you'll sacrifice yards on the ground as opposed to, giving him an opportunity to operate his full complement of offense. So that is where it starts, early down success. And then, when you're in those situations, you got to be mindful of staying in, keeping your gap integrity, not over committing on the pass rush to let him break free. But he's not the type of player that I think I wouldn't put him quite at like the Sorsby level as a runner. I'd probably put him more in the Underwood level, which again, Nebraska got burned by that. But, I think that's not quite the red flag that some people might be making it out to be.
Robin, well, dude, look at that. Got caught up there. Well, brother, hey, we appreciate you. Whoa, I don't know. I'm still upset about losing by a half.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just started thinking about Trey Hendrickson just going through the motions in the second half and not getting any points.
And then I was looking through stats, and you sent me the analytics of how I've had teams score way more against me than other people, and I kind of got irritated.
Yeah, when you're sitting at 0-4 and you've had 70 more points scored against you than anybody else in the league.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, come on. When am I going to get a break?
Somebody else is 3-1 and have 100 less scored against them.
It just boils your blood.
It does. So, all right, brother, we appreciate your time as always, my friend, and talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Do it.
Robin Watch at HuskerOnline.com. Great stuff from him. Let's take a break and come back. It is playoff day, Major League Baseball. That and a whole lot more when we come back. Okay, Watch and I text. We do it's such a
we do something different with our league, and I'm not sure if you guys do this as well, but I highly recommend it if not, because of what you said there at the end. Our top 5 playoff spots are based on record, head-to-head, and all that.
There's division. We have 4 divisions.
You have divisions. So we don't do divisions. We just do one big league. Top 5 records in the league make it into postseason, and then our 6th spot goes to the team that remains with the highest points for. Record does not matter. If you have the highest points for, you make it in
3
as 6
divisions.
spots.
So
3 divisions, division winners, and wild cards.
Oh, so we do like 2 divisions, but that's just more for scheduling purposes. The best teams based on record get in.
Like I've
I recommend
70 more points scored against me, and someone else is 3-1, who's had 100 less. Like I'm like the number 1. They come in and they play their best game against me every time.
I do recommend the system of highest points for outside our top 5 playoff teams makes it in. It makes things. If you're the 6th team in terms of record and you don't have a good points for, you never feel bad about not making it in because you go, okay, that guy did deserve it. He put up 300 more points than me throughout the year.
Like I'm of the 12 teams, I think I'm like the 5th leading point getter in the league, and I'm on the outside looking in. I'm the 3rd highest scorer in my division.
Jeez,
and I'm last.
Well, I mean, I put up the most points for this week, but we do a game against the median to kind of balance out the points record. So, like, if you put up a bunch of points, but you don't necessarily win your matchup, you can still beat the median, so you can go 1-1 on the week. But then we have like the super flex, so it's kind of nice.
We whenever we had 2 divisions, you guys would appreciate this. Our 2 division names, we had the OJ division and the Hernandez division. No one.
I got you. Ours is Heath Schuler, the Kajana Carter, and the Bruce Pickens. Yeah,
all-time what ifs.
I have literally from first to 4th, the division I'm in. Points against me, 768. The leader, 663. Incredible. It's all right. We keep fighting. Fight to the end. What's up, Justin? What's up for everybody? I wanted to bring that point up with Robin because I think Husker fans, basketball fans, just are not used to seeing what they're gonna see this year. Like they'll be really hard-nosed defense, but it might not be what you want it to be from a scoring defense. Also, get ready I'm just throwing a number like 35 threes a game.
Oh, they're gonna make it rain. But I
but get ready.
The best way to play this is still going to be a defensive basketball team.
Yeah, they're gonna try hard.
I don't know if they're going to be a defense first basketball team.
This is totally.
have you seen who's gonna play point guard for them? They're not gonna be defense for basketball.
But this also.
I love Kendall Blue. He did not play defense at St. Thomas.
No.
He might Connor Asichin came here, and me and my buddy looked at the underlying defensive numbers. Like we have analytics stuff because he has some scouting connections. We looked at the underlying defensive numbers. Connor made a major jump last year under Nate Lenzer. Like Kendall Blue could do the same. He is an offensive first kind of combo guard. And Bryce Santford, just
let it fly.
Put up 10 a game. I don't worry about you defensively. We'll help you.
Well, I think correct me if I'm wrong here. It almost feels like an offensive first unit and a more defensive second unit.
Yep.
This is what Fred wants.
But it might be one of those teams that'd be fun to watch when you got 4 minutes to play and you're down 12.
They finally have the firepower to draw back.
They can come back. Most teams are like, all right.
No, they've got firepower.
Also, I'm really interested because I've talked to these guys, to Robin and T. They got good show. There is such an upside conversation with Brandon Frager right now. Like you heard, I thought forever it was like coach speak because it's the local kid. You're talking about this guy being in the starting lineup.
I think my buddy not selling his bear case stock also might finally come back to pay off for him.
Mm-hmm. 260ish to 240ish.
Well, and he's fine if he can improve on the freaking jumper. It'll help because
and you got to remember,
he had some bad misses last year.
You also feel bad going into that. Like he was playing at an all-time great, not great, good level.
His best game against Ohio State.
Then he gets hurt.
Yeah,
late in that game.
Yeah, and he was like
probably derailed the tournament team.
I think what derailed them is no real shooting in the guard room. Outside
I'm about to find out this year.
All right, here we go. Time for me to mail in an absentee ballot for the playoffs.
Welcome back in the morning hookup. Special thanks to Robin Wash at HuskerOnline.com hanging out with us. Well, it's here. Fall baseball. We got it. Last day of September. We're going to kick off with some afternoon baseball. Tigers, Guardians, Skubal. Got it. Boy, pitching upon pitching in this first round. Skubal and the Tigers today at Cleveland. They'll go off around noon. Padres, Cubs. Interest. I think that is probably the wild card matchups I'll be watching the closest when you look at it. From the skill level of those two teams. Best pitching matchup in the first round right here. Crochet Freed today. Red Sox, Yankees. They'll be at Yankee Stadium. And then the nightcap, you got Green and Snell tonight. We've already adopted our team. You can jump on with us if you want. The Big Dumper and the Mariners.
Mm-hmm. I have a buddy who is a Seattle Mariners fan. Respectfully, I will not be jumping on that wagon just because
come on.
Pun intended there with the Big Dumper.
No. In his words, if you weren't there with us from the start, don't jump on now.
I've been casually following along all year. Does that count?
I'd rather just hate watch the 3 NL Central teams and pray none of them make it. I'd rather do that.
Yeah, maybe that's a better question, Hooksy. What team were you rooting against this postseason?
And why is it the Yankees?
Big loss for the Red Sox with Giolito, though.
Yeah,
that's
honestly, it's if it's like the Braves not being there, it's always like I'm so satisfied the Mets aren't there. Obviously, with their collapse, why is it not hardest to root against the Yankees and the Dodgers?
Yankees, Dodgers. Can I add one more to that? I am not rooting for the Phillies this postseason.
I'm not rooting for the Brewers.
I
hope no NL Central teams make it to its CS.
Because I think the Yankees and Dodgers are easy. I'm rooting against the Cubs.
Ooh, that's bold.
I'm going against the Cubs.
And you and Ryan 840 are going to have to put on some gloves.
The Cubs. I have to pick one because it's easy to go. Just go Cubs.
Or just go Brewers.
Fly the W. Yeah. How about that? Love you, Ryan 840. I had to pick. They made me pick.
I'm just rooting against all three. I hope none of them make it. I hope none of them make it to a CS. I'm a hater till the day I die. I don't care.
And I'm right with my guy. He doesn't want to see the Cubs do anything.
I don't want to see the Cubs, the Brewers, the Reds. I don't want to see any of them. I don't want to see 93 manufactured wins make it to a CS so they can go blow it. I don't want to see the Brewers do that. because you know what's going to happen.
You know
Just
what?
get it over with. Get out in the DS and let me watch some real baseball.
You know what? I wouldn't hate the Reds making a run.
Oh,
I don't
love
think
it.
I don't think they will.
But also, I'm in for good baseball.
Justice is anti-Reds.
I'm also in for good
If
baseball.
you're in the NL Central, I don't like you.
Yeah, I know.
I'm also looking ahead for second round matchups that I'm here for. I want the Dodgers to play the Phillies. Give baseball. Give them that. Give me New York or Boston versus Toronto. Toronto could be a sneaky fun one to follow.
New York v. Toronto would be fun.
Let's go.
I'm probably rooting for the Red Sox in the wild card, but New York v. Toronto is probably the better.
Give me
matchup.
a Red Sox Mariners CS. Let's have some
go.
fun.
Yes.
Let's have some fun.
Yes.
About time we had some fun in baseball.
Red Sox Mariners would be so much fun. I'd love that.
I'd be down.
I don't know
So we're
what.
going against the Cubs.
I'm going
Can
against the whole NL Central. I'm going to stand here like Rambo with 2 AK-47 saying, bring it, fellas.
I am not anti-Cubs. I'll say that.
I am. I'm going with it.
I'm anti-establishment. Bring down the entire
Justin-
NL Central.
Justin said, Bill Moose says, you're going to see it.
Justice is rooting against every MLB team in the postseason.
Every one of them. He
I
gives
hope
up on
none of them
baseball.
win it. I'm rooting for bad travel arrangements.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Brian Munson, HustleLine.com.
Your very own handyman to help remodel your home.
After 15 years of being in my home, I decided I need to refresh my home. 2 months before the project started, we looked at showers, tubs. We even sat in the tubs. It was so much fun. We looked at kitchen sinks, hardware for the bathrooms and for the kitchen. They had mirrors and toilets. Everything I needed was right in one location. The helpful man at Handyman, he pulled out so many different colors of onyx so I can choose what was going to be perfect to go in my shower, whether it was the corner pieces to hold the shampoo and body wash. And you can mix and match because everything's going to be custom.
Big savings this month when you update your bathroom light, mirror, and accessories with Handyman. For the very best in bathrooms, come to Handyman under the arch on Sun Valley Boulevard, Lincoln.
Handyman.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding
Lincoln's
risk.
local news, talk, sports, and weather station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Gender and racial quotas in the military gone. Hazing during basic training now allowed, and a return to male-level standards for physical fitness. Those are just a few of the new cultures in the U.S. military announced today by the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth.
Foolish and reckless political leaders set the wrong compass heading, and we lost our way. We became the woke department.
Hegseth reiterating a warrior ethos is now in place at the Pentagon. His boss, President Trump, reiterated that in his speech that followed.
We're bringing back a focus on fitness, ability, character, and strength. And that's because the purposes of American military is not to protect anyone's feelings. It's to protect our republic.
Trump also talked about U.S. nuclear capabilities and said the nation's most dangerous cities should be used as training grounds for the military. Federal government on the brink of the first shutdown in nearly 7 years as Democrats insist that subsidies for health premiums be restored and Republicans say no. The White House is set to unveil a new way for Americans to save on drugs. A spokesman says that the president is leveraging the power of the federal government to drive prices down. The head of Pfizer expected to join President Trump for an announcement today. Hamas has yet to respond to the 20-point Gaza ceasefire plan that was announced yesterday. ABC's Mary Bruce has some of the details.
While just months ago, Trump said Palestinians would have to leave Gaza. Under this plan, no one will be forced to leave. Going forward, Gaza would be governed by an apolitical Palestinian committee, supervised by an international board of peace led by Trump. And the plan leaving open the possibility of a Palestinian state.
A second detainee shot in a sniper attack on a Dallas immigration field office last week has now died, according to his family. This is ABC News.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
A proposed bump in pay for first-time Lincoln police officers being considered. Good morning. I'm Jeff Mode, 73 degrees at KFOR. For a rookie Lincoln police officer, their wage would bump up to $35.85 an hour under a contract agreement between the city and the LPD union. Now, the Lincoln City Council needs to approve of it. They heard testimony Monday about the agreement, which would see police salaries increase by 17% over a 3-year period. Chief Michelle Morrow says they also reached a temporary agreement with the LPD union about the wellness program that would include workouts for 90 minutes during the course of a 40-hour week.
Additionally, a couple of small changes clarified that probationary employees can now use sick leave and vacation leave while they're on probation instead of making them wait.
The contract with the city and LPD union, it was agreed upon earlier this month. It would raise the salary for a first-year police officer from $70,300 to $74,568, while those who reach the highest step in the pay scale would be paid just over $105,000 a year. The city council will consider a vote on this next week. As part of National Coffee with a Cop Day tomorrow, you're invited to meet with Lincoln Police team captains and officers at 4 different locations in each of the major geographic areas of the city. LPD Captain Max Hupka says he likes to see positive interactions between officers and the community.
People like to see you come up and talk to them, which isn't always the case. So I think they get something out of it. We definitely get something out of it, and it's always an enjoyable event.
LPD's Northeast team will be at the Hy-Vee at 50th and O tomorrow morning from 8 to 9. The Southeast team will be over at Ziggy's off of 70th and Pine Lake Road tomorrow morning from 8 to 9:30. Northwest team members will be at New Day at 643 Fallbrook Boulevard tomorrow morning from 10:30 to 11:30. And the Southwest team members will be at the U-Stop Jeannie's Kitchen at 200 West Amaranth from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. This afternoon, mostly cloudy and a high of 82, 73 degrees now in Lincoln. I'm Jeff Moats, KFOR News.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Make hauling easy with the MWC Park Can Easy Dump. This satellite dumper goes where big garbage trucks can't and can haul everything from trash to yard waste to recycling. The fully automatic Easy Dump fits in the back of a standard pickup truck, so there's no need for a CDL license. Perfect for alleys, gated communities, condos, parks, anywhere. Come see the Easy Dump yourself.
This is the Morning Hookup on KFOR.
Rumors spreading round in that Texas town.
Welcome back in the Morning Hookup, hour number 2. Thanks for hanging out with us again. Right 840, that was on me. Hey, thanks for saying you love me back.
Just let me know.
He said, Brandon Ford said, we've come a long way for people to actually root against my team in the playoffs when yours isn't. Go Cubs, go.
Hey, Chicago, what do you say?
Turn his mic off.
They're the lovable losers for a reason. That ain't changing this postseason. Do you like the little rhyme there?
I do have a couple buddies that I golf with that actually have like Cubs tattoos. They do. They do. Would you ever do that with your Broncos?
No.
Your Bronco tattoo, your favorite team?
No.
I have 8 tattoos, but I never thought one time to have like a Husker tattoo, a Tar Heel tattoo.
I think that's
Braves
bad
tattoo.
juju if you do that. I think
it's
that is
awful.
a bad omen.
I mean, maybe not hot take. I don't know, but why?
Went to high school with the guy that from as soon as I knew him in high school, so like age 15, he had a big old Duke tattoo right across his neck.
Tell me whatever.
He has since got it removed from what I have heard. He got it young, but it was just a big neck tattoo with the Duke Blue Devils logo.
Tattoos are intimate decisions that don't need to be taken lightly. Coming from one that has them. I don't regret any of mine. But I just thought about and they're like, one's the dude I know, it's like on his ankle. It's a Cub tattoo. One on the back of his right shoulder. He's like, look. I'm like, what? Never crossed my mind.
Yeah, I think they're intimate decisions that should be saved for losing a fantasy football league.
But within taste, if they lose.
That's a good one.
That is
within taste.
I've told you guys this, right? If the loser of my fantasy football league gets an L tattooed on them.
They do not.
Yes.
Like, is there a size requirement?
No, the L this year was bigger than I thought it would be.
See,
so respect to Eric.
I'd put it like right here.
Well, I don't know if we could say our freshman year fantasy punishment on air, but it was a lot worse than that. A lot worse than that. It had to do with wearing a jersey to a certain get-together.
Not bad.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the stream can see this.
That one looks like you used to do it by yourself.
It's on the thigh. Yeah, we had one stick and poke. There was a stick and poke L tattoo.
Wow.
No, ours had to do with a jersey and showing up to a certain public gathering. Yeah. It's not ideal. That'll be safe for the stream.
Huxley, does your league have a fantasy punishment?
We do not. We do not.
I think it's important to have.
Really?
Keeps teams from tanking. We had an issue one year where the teams at the bottom of the league right before the trade deadline just started offloading to the good teams.
Ethical tanking.
And we didn't like it. So we said, all right, if you want to make yourself a bad team, we need to have a punishment.
I'd have to show you guys this.
Or is that unethically tanking?
I have to show you guys this because there's like...
I think because you're trying to help out a buddy.
Well, yeah, but it's also like, I feel like for us, like we just have rosters who are just bad. So there are guys like they're kind of like in spurts, like kind of shelling off some assets, but trying to keep the core. So they like have good pieces and they're trying to build, but their roster's not good.
I'd have to show you guys everything that goes within ours because there are like, just the tabs upon tabs that are on our Google Doc that we use for the league. Like you can't do certain things by certain dates. There's stuff put in place, trades and picks and all that, because we have so much other stuff going on with the keepers, and you can trade picks now to like week 8 or something like that. So it's all we have is a toilet bowl. We do have the bottom teams that do go into a toilet bowl.
So we do that too.
Yeah.
Just to keep the engagement later on.
Yeah. And the loser of that game has to get an L tattoo in my league.
For us,
be a double loser.
I've played in it 2 straight years, won it both times. My team showed up for me when it really matters. So I've been very close to the L tattoo.
See, for us, whoever loses that and has the lowest points scored gets the first overall pick because we have a dynasty league.
Gotcha.
So we like to, there's some incentive to like keep playing. Like obviously you want to like play and like try to win something if you're at the bottom. Like, hey, like I won the toilet bowl. Like we can host the toilet trophy. But like,
you guys have a toilet trophy?
Yeah, we actually do. It's like a little mini toilet. It's great. we pass it around every year.
Speaking of being passed around, Coach Rule spoke yesterday. Continue to pass everything around.
Justice and I both.
That was good.
Are you calling the tackle position the community bike? Just getting passed around?
Well, when you get comments like "We have a good idea,"
we have a good idea.
Does it?
It's never a good sign when a coach doesn't like. If a coach just comes out and says, "Yeah, this guy's going to be our guy."
We have a good idea on the Husker Planet tackle. The other one
we
was
we have the concept of a plan.
We have a really good. I think we have a really good plan for RB2.
Might as well say you have the concepts of a plan.
What happened in the bye week?
It
Is it that they have an answer, they just don't want to give it out, or is it?
I
think we just don't know. We're going to stick with what we got. My thing is, I just need consistency. We need an answer, and not me, but they need an answer. Who it's going to be, how they're going to go about it. October is a way to get consistency because you're not going to have the Michigan domination on that side of the football coming at you at the tackles.
Because, like, my thing with RB2 is like, if you don't want to give it away because, like, Michigan State might be listening and they might, like, pull up some film and say, oh, okay, how can we, like, stop this guy just in case? I kind of get that. The tackle position, I think you should just puff your chest out and say, yeah, we've got a solution. Here it is. It's like, at least have an answer instead of just like, oh, like, we might have something, and then 10 minutes go off the clock, and it's like, hey, you have 5 minutes left to complete your test, buddy. Like, let's get an answer on the board.
I'm wondering if the tackle one is more about not wanting to put pressure on a specific guy this early in the week.
Why?
Fair.
We need to be. Let's go. You're the dude.
I mean, but it's also like,
well, you have one guy that, if I look at the left tackle spot, I think it's down to Gunner and Pritchett. You have one guy in Gunner that struggled mightily against Michigan. And if you come out and say it's going to be Gunner this week, what are we going to be talking about all week long? We're talking, man, is Gunner the right choice? You have Pritchett. That's what the pressure is being added is.
You paid him $1 million, man.
And then if you come out on Monday and say it's going to be Pritchett on Saturday, what has Pritchett struggled with? The internal in your head stuff, the pre-snap penalties, the false starts. It hasn't been physical with him. So if you're putting extra pressure on him on a Monday by saying, hey, he's going to be our guy, that's now a whole week to stew and have the media and the fans talking about, guy just can't be making mental mistakes. How many false starts is he going to have on Saturday? Like, either way you go about that, you're adding pressure to the guy. And I don't think those are the guys that need more pressure on them right now. So I think by saying, yeah, we're going to have a plan at left tackle and you see it on Saturday, it leaves us talking about, hey, what is that plan as opposed to the shortcomings of those guys, which takes pressure off of them in the week leading up to practice, in my opinion.
But I also think conversely, by hiding it, I think you make a valid point there, and it's a very good one. But I also think conversely, if you come out and it's a very vague answer, there's no real concrete substance behind it, then you leave. Then if things do go south against Michigan State in those particular areas, maybe you win the football game, but those concerns still haven't been addressed. You're back to square one because people are going, well, is he a charlatan and a snake oil salesman? Like, what is he trying to cover up here?
Well, I think Rule would rather put that. He'd rather put that pressure on himself than on a player.
I respect that.
Which is fair. And as a CEO, he is paid enough money that it is up to his adjudication to take that blame, because there are coaches, Brian Kelly, who will not take that blame and will shell it all to the players. And then it leads for a bad environment if they're unable to handle that criticism in the proper manner. But also you very much subject yourself to a lot of arrows, which is, been kind of the theme of Nebraska head coaches for the past several tenures.
The other spot that they have gained clarity from, also not giving that out, which I think probably has been the most inconsistent, more than the tackles, not their play, but who's playing it, is RB2.
This is
you got Ives in 1 week, you got Nelson not playing, got Nelson in. You and I think, are both on the same page with this. You got to get Mosey the ball.
Yeah. And this is the answer that I think was a little bit more eyebrow raising to me. Because what's the right way to put that? You need to find an RB2. You talked about it during the bye week. You had a week of practice to figure some things out. I don't think you're adding any extra pressure to a guy by saying, hey, we feel really good about what we have in this guy. We're going to try to get him some more handoffs this week. Because it hasn't been an issue to me of players going out there and screwing up. It's been coaches not having confidence in those guys, and they're not getting touches. So it's different to me if you go try to pump a guy up on a Monday and say, man, we love what we've seen from Mosey this year. We've been getting him the ball in a variety of different ways. We want to see him more as a running back this week. Or, hey, Mekhi Nelson, we should need to get him the ball more. We liked what we saw against Michigan. He just needs to get more reps. Or, hey, Quentin Ives. You can look at Quentin Ives and say, he looked great the last couple weeks. It was an error in our game plan to not get him the ball against Michigan. We want to get him the ball. It's not adding any extra pressure to a guy on Monday to say, this is the guy we want to roll with the RB2. And is it really going to change Michigan State's game plan that much based on who the RB2 is?
No, they're going to try to stop Emmett Johnson.
Yeah.
That's their number one goal.
I have a little bit more, it's a little more eyebrow raising for me to say, oh, we have a plan at RB2. You'll see it on Saturday. That one's a little more like, oh, makes me wonder what is actually going on behind the scenes.
And I think also, like, you can do that because Michigan State's going to try to pass the ball and they're going to gear up to stop the pass. That's got to be the game plan. Otherwise, Jonathan Smith needs to really rethink some things as a head coach, because the strength of Nebraska's offense so far has been the passing game, has been the wide receiving core, the tight ends, Dylan Raiola, orchestrating things pre-snap, unlike what Tom Fornelli says. And then you could go conversely to the defensive side. They've been incredible at stopping the pass, and that's exactly where Michigan State wants to go. So how do you dissect that secondary? How can you get a running game going to maybe play some complementary football? There's other things to worry about. I think it'd be okay to levy some of that and say, you know what, we have a plan on RB2. It's really concerning that he's come out and says, we have an idea. Well, everybody has an idea, Matt. You're the head coach. Everybody can have an idea. I can have an idea for who could be RB2. I'm not paid $6 million a year to go figure that out.
Justice, they got clarity.
I'd love to see some. I know you're trying to get a little but here's the
Trust
thing.
in me, we have clarity.
I'll trust it when I see, a backup running back rush for maybe more than 10 yards in a game.
Get more than 4 handoffs.
Yeah.
To me, it's just an interesting look ahead, not looking ahead, but like October, it's more for me, again, as a fan, as a media member looking at it, consistency, consistent starts, consistent carries, consistency, because I don't think with the groups that'll be in front of us, it'll be like, oh, we're back. We're not facing the juggernauts of the Michigan fronts. Will we look better? Well, we damn well better against those fronts, because if we don't, those question marks start getting real heavy.
Yeah, and one of the things I noticed that makes me think, well, the offense line needs to be better, yeah. But one of the things I saw that made me think Mosey was one of Nebraska's counters to Michigan with their pass rushers was they went 5 wide. They would either motion a running back out of the backfield or back into the backfield, try to get that man zone key, and then they'd go quick passing attack.
And it worked.
And for the most part, it worked. So if I'm looking at that moving forward, if that's going to be your solution to take a little pressure off, go quick passing attack, don't let those pass rushers get 3.5 seconds to get to Dylan Raiola because the ball's already out first. The name that's flashing in my head is Mosey.
Yeah, it's got to be.
I think he's got to be a guy that's got to touch the football more.
Because whenever Mosey comes in as a personnel package, you as a defense have to go, well, we don't know what this could be. A normal Mosey's lined up in the backfield. This could be Mosey lined up out wide. Like, he could be anywhere, and he's going to be motioning pre-snap. You kind of do the same thing that Emmett does in that sense, which makes me think Mosey's the guy, because if that is a solution that you have towards your tackle struggling a little bit, which it's a worthwhile solution. You go 5 wide, you spread the defense out a little bit, and you get the ball out quick.
When you guys know this, the two guy,
Mosey's the name that
the
flashes.
one guy being the one guy, the two guy also has to make the defense go, wait a minute, like you just said, hold on a minute. There's multiple things that could happen versus a 2 guy that goes in and goes,
We know where they're going, right? Between tackles, gear it up.
Got
boys.
it.
No, but I think it's a valid point. And also, like, when you look at the 2 big areas that we're talking about, it's the tackle position, it's on the offensive line, and your backup running back. You know who that directly affects? Emmett Johnson. It affects Emmett Johnson because then he has to stay there. He's getting a beating. And we've already, it's been harped on the whole time. Matt Rule struggles in November, right? The later season push. If your starting running back gets worn down by November, you're going to have an even harder time against some of that competition trying to scrape together some wins in November to go do what you want to do. Because you get USC and you get Penn State and you get Iowa. And those are 3 opponents that are gonna, they're gonna pose some challenges. Okay, they're pretty solid ball clubs. If you get worn down by November, you make it that much harder on yourself to go win. That much harder. And so I think they got to get this sorted out sooner rather than later, because otherwise you're directly putting your RB1 in line, and then when you put him in the line of fire, then your QB1 comes in the line of fire because he has no complementary run game to work off of. It's, hey, I got to go throw for 3 bills, or otherwise we're in serious trouble here.
Well, we'll find out Saturday. He'll let you know. We'll let you know on Saturday. So
Quickly here, I know we got to get to Brian Munson.
Yep, you're good.
What's your level of concern for Saturday with Michigan State? Scale 1 to 10. What's your concern?
The
level?
opponent itself,
5.
I would say like a 4.5.
I'm a 5.
Aiden Childs is probably 3.5 of that.
Yes. Yeah. I was going to say he's probably 5 of that. 5 of my 5.
I do worry.
He's the one guy
their
that can cause
defensive
problems.
line is quite good. Their defensive line is quite good, and Nick Marsh is a real problem.
They just don't get that. I'm not as concerned on that side. They don't they have one of the lowest quarterback pressures in the entire country on that side? Childs is one. It's been an Achilles heel for Nebraska defenses.
I also say I think Jonathan Smith is a good coach.
He is,
but talent-wise, Nebraska's roster should be better.
Should be.
Well, it doesn't.
If you can put up 27 points against Michigan's defense, you can put up 27 plus against Michigan State's defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the entirety of Michigan State's offense is not as good as Michigan's.
Yeah.
I think they probably have some slightly better pass catchers.
They definitely do. Nick Marsh is a problem.
From a stand and deliver point of view, I think Childs is a better pocket passer than Bryce Underwood is at this point in time.
At this point in time, yes.
And he's had years to develop.
At this point in time. But their offensive line is not Michigan State's.
No.
Their rushing attack is not Michigan State's. Aiden Childs getting out and scrambling is not Bryce Underwood or Childs. He poses a threat there, but it's not those two dudes in terms of just the pure athleticism when they get an open field. I'm at about a 4.5 or a 5 in terms of concern level.
I think another big thing is Michigan State has traditionally played Nebraska pretty close. It's a homecoming. You got to have some juice for a what is it, a 3 o'clock kickoff?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock kickoff. They got to have some juice. Like it's probably going to be a little spot in the mid-afternoon. They got to come out with some ferocity and just try to put them away, get up by double-digit scores, and say, "Hey, let's control this game now. Let's see it out."
I think coming out of the bye week, and we'll got a lot more time to talk about it. But I think Nebraska is a team coming off a bye week, thinking we have something to prove.
They better be.
We have something to prove.
They better
Being
not
3-1, not losing to another nationally ranked team. We have something to prove. And the thought is not looking ahead. We have an October that could be a prosperous October.
It could. But the problem is they can't look ahead. And
absolutely not.
They've got to stay intentional. They can't go, well, we're Nebraska. We put up 27 against Michigan. We basically won the game. You can't have that mindset. You have to have the mindset of we don't deserve anything.
I'm at the point of I think 3-1 in October would be slightly disappointing. You can live with it, but
you want to run the table in October.
If you want to achieve your goals for the season, you need to run the table in October.
Yep.
You need to run the table in October.
Yep.
Maryland's the biggest threat. Minnesota on Friday night might be tough.
Minnesota, if they get their running backs back.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Yeah, they're kind of a question mark right now. Maryland's got a good quarterback, but that plays into the strength of your defense. 4-0 is doable.
They also don't have a running game.
It's very doable. So, all right, let's take a break. We come back. We're going to have our guy from HustlerOnline.com, Robin. Jeez, I just that messed that up. Brian Munson, HustlerOnline.com.
It's okay, Hooksy. It's okay. All's forgiven. No, so me and my buddy's freshman year fantasy punishment was you had to wear a Deshaun Watson jersey to a women's rights rally.
Ooh, that's so bad.
The guy who lost chose to leave the league instead of doing the punishment.
That is a worthy choice. That is so bad.
I don't hate it for him.
Yeah, no, he made the correct decision.
We've not allowed him to return that.
Fantasy football ain't worth it.
It was bad.
Not at that level.
Also, look at this pass.
It had to be a Timu Deshaun Watson jersey too.
Look at this pass rush up from the Bengals last night. The Broncos rushed 3. They had 4 guys block 1 guy, and then both ends got beat immediately.
Oh my gosh,
that's incredible,
ladies and gentlemen. The Bengals offensive line.
Oh, it's hilarious. They have 4 guys. Well, and the Broncos were a little complex pre-snap, but it's a 3-man rush. Both tackles get beat immediately, and you have guard, center guard, and running back on the nose tackle. And Jake Browning gets
if your guy is sitting over there looking at that, did you notice a few times? You almost felt bad a little bit watching Chase and T. Higgins sit on the bench go, I don't know. What you want me to do?
They weren't getting that open.
Nope.
But
and
Jake
Browning was
no
throwing balls down the line. They were getting smoked.
Jake Browning was seeing ghosts out there.
Oh. They got nowhere to go. And like we said, unfortunately, Zach might take the fall in that thing.
I think he will, unfortunately.
It's just the optics of the way it looked.
It sucks, and that roster sucks.
They look so bad.
And you know what? I hope Zach gets a comfortable OC job somewhere.
Heck, let him be an assistant coach on the basketball team. He loves Husker hoops.
Hey, Fred's got a squad, man. I'm telling you.
My wife.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, this is the text you love to get. So I told the story, a week ago when my wife cut her finger.
Can I say legitimately here, if you're Nebraska, though? Sorry, would you not look at Zach Taylor if he does lose his job midseason as a midseason offensive analyst pickup?
Hello.
That's
good call.
Yeah.
I think they'd
give him something to do for 5 months while he looks for a new NFL job.
Text I like to get. This is so hilarious. I told the story about my wife cutting her finger.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 6 days or whatever. Supposed to go get the stitches out. No, she just texted me. I don't know if this is good or not. I just took my own stitches out. Yay for me.
That's fine.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
I should be okay with that?
Yeah.
She had 3 of them in her finger. She goes, I cut them out. I got them out myself.
Yeah, fine.
All right. hypochondriac thing about the sterilization of whatever she used.
As long
Welcome back in the morning hookup. Boy, we're having a good time. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Tuesday. We got our guy? Not yet. We're efforting that. We talked a little bit in the break again more about Zach Taylor and unfortunately maybe having to be the guy that takes the fall. But hey, what a good point. What about bringing him on midseason?
If he does not make if he does not make it through the season, usually guys would like something to do that's maybe not as intensive as actually coaching a football team, but something to keep them occupied for a few months during the football season while they look for a new job. If you're Nebraska, you'd call up Zach Taylor and ask about an offensive analyst spot, right?
Yeah. Do you think Zach's the guy coaching-wise in NFL that doesn't make it through a season? Or does he earn the right? Or is it because you look at what he's got coming up in the next 3 weeks, heck, 4 weeks, not all easy games because they don't have their quarterback for whatever. Lions at Packers, Steelers, Jets. You could be staring at 4 more losses.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get any, I guess, real easier. Their bye week is until week 10. And then they got the Bears.
Zach Taylor may get scapegoated for the failures of that front office. And I wouldn't like to see it for Zach Taylor's sake, but actually if he ends up, he could find a better landing spot than that Bengals front office. They've done him no favors during his tenure.
Unfortunate. Let's bring our guy from HustlerOnline.com, Brian Munson. B, what's up?
I'm good. Yeah, I missed that discussion. I maybe missed a phone call from you guys too. I apologize, but I watched that game last night. They've got way more problems that go beyond Burrow. I mean, obviously you guys saw that defense is horrible.
Yeah, well, we're just talking about how bad optically it looked, and unfortunately, a guy that we all love, Zach Taylor, might be the scapegoat for that team.
Marvin Lewis got carried for a long time in Cincinnati. I don't know if what that ownership's kind of thoughts and feelings are going to be here. I mean, obviously, I think Burrow looked really good early on in his career. He seemed to be hit by the injury bug now plenty. And I don't know if the kid's ever going to get truly healthy ever again and stay that way. But that being said, I mean, if you had a defense that was able to kind of keep you in some games, I think Browning could kind of go out there and they could muster up, 14, maybe 17 points. It's clear. I mean, Higgins and Chase were they were very tuned out. I mean, there was at one point I think that looked like Chase was sleeping on the sideline, sitting down. I mean, it was pretty brutal to watch. I mean, if I was Zach today, I'd pull it up and go, we lose Joe Cool, and this team goes just to heck in a handbasket. Why did everybody just check out all of a sudden? OTAs, these are the rewards of OTAs and tough mandatory, mini camps. You get to play games. You get to have fun. Now you guys don't even want to have fun. You guys want to go out there and show that you guys are the consummate professionals that you guys are. And I thought that was a bad look. It was a really bad look from Cincy last night.
Well, to me, it's just Joe Burrow has been the Band-Aid that cleans up a lot of issues with that Bengals roster year after year after year. And now that you don't have him and he's going to be out for a prolonged period of time, maybe the rest of the season, I just don't see it getting any better. I really don't.
Nope.
No, I don't either. I mean, Browning's not going to automatically become Tom Brady. I mean, I think what you're kind of working with there. And I think if you don't have a defense that's interested in holding anybody below 30 points a game, you're in big trouble. So either the defense steps up and says we're going to have to pitch a shutout to win this game, and I know you guys were reviewing the rest of the team schedule there, but either they're going to have to pitch shutouts or keep people below 10 points, but not after what I saw last night. It doesn't look like that's even capable.
We're speaking to Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com. Brian, I want to go big picture a little bit. I asked Robin about this earlier. It's the 5 of 5 rule that's kind of lingering out there. Talk about that on the impact of recruiting from the football side. It feels like until it's there, it's kind of handcuffing some of these, I don't know, maybe not offers, but what it looks like if that does get approved from the recruiting side.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I thought Rules mention of it last week in his press conference on Monday was pretty good. It was pretty fabulous. I mean, he's entered into a really odd time in college football, waiting around to hear how things were going to kind of work, post-COVID, to all the adaptations and things that go along with NIL and rev share and whatever. Mm-hmm. And now you got this 5 for 5 thing that people are saying it's going to pass. It's going to pass. Like, it's going to be there. So do you immediately jump to the other end and start implementing the idea that it's going to be part of your lives? I mean, because you've got probably several guys on your roster right now that are in a true freshman kind of scenario that, you're probably holding back because you got 4 games scheduled on your schedule or some other things coming down the pike that you feel like maybe you can hold them back a little bit and have them a little bit more ready and think that maybe you can start cutting their teeth at some other point down the season. Or now do you just inject them back into your veins and say you're part of the room and we're going to get you ready to kind of go into rotation as quickly as you can kind of get up to speed and be physically ready to go and all those good things. But I mean, it also raises the question about what happens to guys that have already redshirted, that are already in some sort of layer of their career, but they've got that redshirt year that they sat out. Do you have another super senior, scenario that has to come up that they need a ruling on? Because maybe it's not a slam dunk NFL guy, but he's a really good collegiate player that, you can keep around and have him for another season and he can go get some work, post grad, wrap up, undergrad, whatever. Like, there's things that can happen out of all those things. So when it comes to recruiting, I think the one thing that's really changed, and I think that at first, like it's been around since I started doing it, but like, the popular topic of I want to play early, we kind of all used to scoff at that idea. We all just kind of just said, okay, yeah, this kid's a really good high school player, probably the best player from his area in a number of years. And he thinks that there's just this mild jump from where he's playing high school football to, top levels, Big Ten football. And that's where, kind of reality sets in at some point that I'm not going to get there. It's just too big of a jump. It's not realistic from this position, this spot. I've got too many people in front of me to consider me really a possibility to kind of see the field early. That's one of the things. But I mean, the other thing is too, it's like, maybe you recruit saying this guy's telling me that he is going to take, basically the 5 for 5 kind of gloves off, saying that they're betting on the come and they think it's going to go ahead and go through. And they think that they can go ahead and get me in as a guy that can play early on in my career. And I could be there then for 5 years and get around the whole redshirt year altogether. I don't even know how you kind of comment on that. Like, and I think though that the reality is that some folks, some teams, some head coaches probably see that as an advantage to at least float the possibility and say that we're being told this is a slam dunk. We're already going to go to that. So yes, you'll be in a position to go ahead and play right away. And we're going to start, looking at that class as far as like guys that can come in and play right away. You would be in the discussion. Well, I think it makes it tough for Matt. I really do. I think it makes it really, really tough for him.
But could this possibly change your usage of TJ Lateef this season, knowing that he might not have to be worrying about a red shirt with a kid like that?
Maybe. I mean, what were you going to do? Break him out against Michigan? I mean, the best guy on the field was obviously the guy that's in front of him. I mean, haven't you done everything that you can do so far with TJ without not knowing if you're going to need him somewhere else down the line? I mean, obviously, since you needed Dylan all 4 quarters, you didn't need Dylan all 4 quarters in the other games. But I mean, could there be a possibility, I guess is what you're saying, that, that you're going to get an opportunity with somebody else?
Well, I guess I'm saying more situationally with Latif. We've seen how his legs can be a threat down, especially in the red zone.
I would tell you that the best player clearly to me against Michigan was Dylan Raiola. And I honestly feel like if you're I'm going to use this word, and I'm trying to be polite, but I'm struggling to find it this morning. If you're going to gimmick TJ Latif to wherever he's coming in, you just want to put the threat of a run there. I could think of a billion other things that I could do, when it comes to personnel groupings and other ways to get the passing game kind of involved, because I still don't think I've seen the right things happen to where, they're doing the right things to pick on the defense, to kind of get things to loosen up the right way. I just don't feel like I've kind of seen the changes in the how things evolved last year under Dana as kind of the season went on, to where he first took over the helm, to where like he ended the season. You're like going, wow, like I'm really ready for like the first full season with Dana. I just don't feel like we've gotten there yet. Maybe that's just me, but I just don't feel like it's, maybe it's a position group that's lacking. I think one position group that hasn't gotten involved enough and should is the tight end position. So I don't understand necessarily why, things are kind of happening the way that they are there. But yeah, I don't see necessarily that bringing TJ in to kind of do like any type of just bring the threat of the legs as a situational guy, or, the possibility of doing like something similar like what we've seen before. Or actually I watched Eastern Michigan this weekend, and they did a lot of weird things with dual quarterbacks. And, you could potentially do that too, and put Raiola over into some sort of a slot or out on wide receiver or whatever. But you're essentially just removing a player from your offense, when you do something like that. So I think you're better off just trying to find better ways to get the right players to get the football, and try to figure out other ways to kind of loosen things up on the defense to really get the run game going, the real run game going. And then I think then your real attention needs to go back to who's the number 2 running back behind Emmett Johnson, because I don't think we still know who that is.
It's Brian Munson with us, Husker Online. Brian, let's switch things over to recruiting. There's been some interest, some buzz from other programs around Nebraska 2026 commits. Danny Odom receiving an offer over the weekend from Michigan. There's been a couple others who have been getting some interest from other Power 4 programs. What do you make of this? Is this, a school sliding in with an opportunity saying, hey, maybe we see something here? Or do you think that it's just, the normal due diligence, it's a good player, and now teams are just trying to get in late?
Well, I mean, it seems to check out with Michigan that they love to go down the list a little bit later on and maybe take a look and reevaluate. And I would say even challenge other, conference opponents to kind of keep their commitment list and their commitments, loyal to them. It seems like something that Michigan is kind of infamous for doing, at least recently. I don't know how serious Danny Odom is about this. He's gone very quiet, I would say that, in the last month and a half or so, which I think, as a recruiting guy, he doesn't want to talk to recruiting guys. Big deal. He obviously has a great relationship still with the staff, and everything seems to be going just fine because he was in Lincoln last weekend for the Michigan game. Coincidentally, he was in Lincoln last weekend for the Michigan game. So I think the thing here is obviously to keep an eye on like where things are going to kind of go. I think Danny Odom has said before, about the possibility of taking other trips. This was earlier on. So I think Nebraska obviously has to be a little concerned. I mean, Danny Odom is the top-rated player based on the Rivals ratings in the 2026 class. Last I looked, Nebraska was dead last in team rankings, in the conference. They're in the high 60s, for the nation. It's not a great class. We all knew that it wouldn't be a strong class because the size was going to limit it. But now you have your top commitment, potentially picking up some steam and some interest from other schools. I could definitely see like a Florida State or somebody else like trying to walk in and do something else with him. So it's going to be something to watch, obviously with Danny and it would really be tough after Nebraska's already had to replace, CJ Bronow earlier on who had committed last fall, who flipped during the month of June to Florida. I mean, that's an interesting scenario right there that Nebraska could lose essentially their second cornerback in the class.
Well, is there a possibility that you could come back around on Bronow considering how Florida has looked so far this season, or is that door been closed?
I think it's possible. It's going to be interesting to see what happens down there in Gainesville. I think a lot of people, a lot of fans want change when they don't see the upside of a staff, they don't see the upside of a head coach. They think that change needs to happen, but I don't think that what all the fans are aware of all the time is the economics of basically the buyout and how you kind of cripple essentially your athletic department budget because you have that kind of buyout kind of hanging out there and you're out there trying to find another guy. Like, is there a sensible, reasonable guy that Florida could kind of go out, or they'd have to go out there and make some sort of a splash and try to convince Nick Saban that he needs to leave ESPN to come back and coach in the SEC in Gainesville? I mean, is there a Mike Elko essentially for Florida like what A&M had in him? I can't think of one. I can't necessarily think of one right now. So that being said, I just think there's challenges, when it comes to making these decisions to kind of pull the plug on people very early, essentially like in their tenure, maybe even earlier on in the season. And I think that people don't understand like what it does to like the budget. So I think there's obviously a lot of uncertainty in Gainesville. It's something to kind of keep an eye out about. Nebraska could potentially try to reconnect with Bronow. It's not far-fetched. It's definitely not far-fetched to that possibility anyway.
Brian, when you look at the framework of the 2027 class, now let's jump a class ahead. There's been some interest from some running backs. I know there was a tweet put out about Isaiah Rodgers and what he's trying to, what his interest level is. There were some positive reviews with some of the visitors. I know Halliman got in and put out some comments about his experience with the game day at Nebraska. What's kind of the steam? What's the smoke around the 2027 class? What have Trey Taylor and co been doing behind the scenes? What's the latest update on 27?
Yeah, I mean, you first bring up the running backs, and I think Isaiah Rodgers. I had just put my story up on him. I think on Saturday or Sunday this weekend. I mean, I think I had 15 stories or 15 interviews out of like 35 kids. So we had a buy. So I kind of staggered them out a little bit longer to kind of keep content going. But I think I ran Rodgers late on Saturday or sometime early on Sunday. And he's very impressed. I mean, despite the loss, I think he sees a tremendous fit there. And I think you have to remember that, you still have Kylon Haney. Kylon Haney down the road in Omaha Central played a critical role in knocking off Westside this last weekend. He's a guy that when I watched his film, he looks like he has found some juice in his step. He looks quicker. He looks substantially quicker than what he did a year ago. And I think I'm much more optimistic right now, about if Nebraska was kind of evaluating their current running back room, maybe you decide to go ahead and take a lightning and a thunder, so to speak, kind of situation with two running backs in the 2027 class. And you try to close Kylon and you try to go get yourself like an Isaiah Rodgers or somebody else to kind of come join the group. Because I think that there's some questions like looking down the rest of the room as you're still not able to kind of figure out how things are going to kind of be, with your number two. I mean, it's either that or you're kind of maybe looking like you got to get into the portal and go do something in the running back spot. But I think that being said, it was a huge recruiting weekend last weekend. I mean, you had Kennedy Brown in town. He's talking about coming back. You had Will Slagle there. He's talking about coming back. I mean, offensive linemen were definitely represented this last weekend. I thought you had several guys that were there on the defensive side of the football that really make a lot of sense as well. Like, Bryson Brown is a big time guy, from Oklahoma that Coach Mosey has had a tremendous influence on since he's come to Lincoln. Samaj Stanford being the same kind of situation, another guy from Oklahoma. Kennedy Green coming in from Georgia, loved it there in Nebraska. It was really all the way around. Nobody got caught up on the fact that Nebraska lost. Everybody thinks Nebraska's fans are the most loyal fans in the country, and they're all blown away by, I think, how personable the coaches are and how terrific the Nebraska facilities are too. I mean, I keep hearing about those three things time and time again as I call recruits that this staff is hosting. It's typically fans, coaches, facilities, and that's where I would kind of say things are at right now. I mean, things are really hot with the 2027 group. They're really hot.
It's Brian Munson with us here, HuskerOnline.com. And Brian, before we get you out, one last quick thought when you look ahead to this weekend. Depending on where you get it, Nebraska is either a 10.5 or an 11.5 point favorite against Michigan State. How does that line strike you?
It's a lot. I mean, you know that Michigan State has seen the film. They're going to challenge Nebraska with running the football right at them because Nebraska hasn't shown yet that they can really go out there and consistently stop it. So Nebraska's going to have to either decide that the best way forward is to play the way that they have been and be more consistent, like within their scheme and their fits, or they're going to have to make some adjustments, and that's going to be from scheme or personnel. I think we all saw the depth chart, and not a lot of changes there. So what's really going to happen then on Saturday? Like, is it just going to be roll out the same and see what we need to do to adjust, or what? So I think double digit. I mean, I already said it about the Buffalo Bills game last weekend. The 15-point spread was a sucker bet. Totally sucker bet. You knew that game was going to be way closer than that. I think that this game, although the odds and the percentages of like how things kind of stack up, it's like one of the easiest games that Nebraska has kind of moving forward. I still see it as a challenge right now to kind of cover that. I'm just a little bit kind of skeptical about what's going to happen on the run defense. Nebraska is going to have to really step up and show that they can stop the run, because they're going to get it every weekend. That's for sure, especially out there in the conference.
Awesome stuff, Brian. We'll appreciate your time, as always, on a Tuesday hanging out with us. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. We'll talk to you real soon.
All right, guys. Be good.
Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com. Great stuff from Brian. Let's take a break, come back, and do a few stories that we missed.
All right. Do we, before playoffs get started, do we want to do like an improvised like playoff World Series prediction?
Oh, sure. Want to do one?
Yeah.
Sure.
Do like a quick stories that we missed, and then
we'll just
throw some.
I like it.
Throw some World Series predictions out there. Just
well, we all know who won't be in my pick.
You got about what? Probably 4 minutes on the clock.
3:18 right now.
We'll just go there.
We'll be fine.
Is there any stories that we missed?
I think we got a lot of
I ain't
them.
got any.
I got none. Nope. Looking there. Nope. Nothing intriguing.
Paul Feinbaum, considering your run for Senate.
Go.
I think we should like briefly mention that.
As Wilbon said, go.
Him versus Bruce Pearl. Him versus
what a joke.
Him versus Pearl in the who can put together the better hair product race.
Just a little off the top.
Do you remember that? That's actually so funny. Leaves the sides.
Playoff bracket.
Ryan 840 said, I got the Cubs bringing home the trophy. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I might as well just turn in my fan card if I do that.
That team. I want to see that one.
If I'm a real fan, I pick the Cubs to get swept. I say they don't score a single run. That's if I'm a real fan.
They get shut out completely.
Yep,
and no hits.
They get swept and shut out. Yep.
They
don't get a base runner the whole
They get
series.
no hit and shut everything.
Yeah, and then they get beat 18-0 in every single game. If I'm a real fan. Unfortunately for me, I have to be pragmatic.
That one I like. Yeah, let's pick that.
Okay.
Just on the whim. I'm picking what I want to see.
We can do the I love Reddy's hate. It's mutual. Enjoy the watch. What would that be? What would a rivalry be without some hate, you know? What would it be? Like, honestly, I hope for Ryan 840, I hope that the Cardinals make the playoffs again. That's a big if. I hope if the Cardinals make the playoffs again, I hope he thinks that they don't score a single run.
He will.
Get beat 20-0. That's how it
He
should
will.
be. That's how proper rivalry should be. Every time I watch, every time I watch a hated rival of mine, I hope they never score a point. And I hope they get the brakes beat off of them. I'm not rooting for a rival. You kidding me?
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're kind of holding back today.
Got me messed up, man.
Man, what'd you do last night? Got you all fired up.
I was productive last night,
Oh,
actually.
boy.
Took out the trash, did some laundry, cleaned up the room. We just got after it after a late night lift.
There's a story out there developing right now in college football.
Is it Paul Feinbaum
No.
says that he's going to run with Bruce Pearl?
No.
But that-
Is that ACC team with a fired coach?
Is that
some money? Vive Tech.
Ooh.
Bring it up.
So they go steal Saban. Saban goes.
I mean, not that it's for them. It's probably a big deal, the money wise.
That's funny. Well, it doesn't help that their in-state rival kind of got a big upset.
Mm-hmm.
That does not help matters at all. Because, like, imagine that. Like, imagine UNO brings back a football program. They go on and they just, like, upset a top 10 team. And meanwhile, Nebraska just gets an egg.
Oh, and by that time, we're 0-100 against the top.
Oh, my gosh. If this place went 0-0, if they went 0-100, like, if they didn't win a football game, this place literally might burn to the ground.
Just gets the top.
And that our alcohol sales dramatically skyrocket in Lincoln.
Ryan at 40 said you really enjoyed that last MLB series with a broom.
Well, I mean, I predicted the Cardinals to get to 78 wins this year, so it did help my prediction to be right, but it was unfortunate that it had to come to the hands of those lovable losers. Only lovable in some eyes. All right, here we go.
Oh. Welcome back in the morning hookup. Special thanks to Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com. Few moments left. We're going to knock out a couple stories that we missed, and then we're going to give you what I don't know if we want, we hope, what could be the World Series. Let's do it.
The stories we miss.
I know you got one. I mentioned one in the stream, by the way. Virginia Tech fired their coach, right? You're like, what's Virginia Tech going to do? The board just approved an extra $229 million to the athletic budget. That's substantial.
That's a lot.
That's substantial for a program. That's a big financial commitment to get to the top of the ACC. Virginia Tech, hang on. Let's see what they can go get to run that program.
That's why you fire your coach early. You get this kind of investment. Now you have 2.5 months to figure out what you want to do.
229 minutes.
You dictate the market.
It passed by a 13-1.
Good for Vive Tech. Also in college football news, how about Paul Feinbaum considering a run for U.S. Senate?
Him and Bruce Pearl joined in what people considered the Senate's version of the Central Powers. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
wouldn't that be funny?
Interesting.
Versus Nick Saban.
Sure. I love people that are like, well, the SEC can't win a title in the last few years. And he's like, well, I'm out.
He said, I'm getting into politics.
I'm getting into politics.
Just imagining Paul Feinbaum
I'll fix this.
on his campaign tour. We got a Paul in Tuscaloosa. Paul, you're on the Paul Feinbaum show. Go for it.
Imagine those rallies.
Could you imagine like him calling in? Then it's like Dabo versus Paul from Tuscaloosa.
Oh boy.
Well, it's the new Tyler from Spartanburg.
Well,
hey, there's a reason I played Sultans of Swing Hooks.
Also, we're gonna give what we I don't know. Do we want? Are you giving us what you want for the World Series, or what you really think?
What you really think? What you really?
Oh, what you really think? I gave what I want.
Well, what you want might be what you think.
Because I
The
don't
heart
really
wants what the heart wants.
I want to see something different. I want to be different. I told you one side I was latched on to the M's. Put them in the World Series. Put them there.
I'd love to see it.
On the other side, I don't like a lot of those teams on that side. So put me the Padres. M's Pods. It is not the sexiest World Series.
No, it's not.
But I don't want it.
I'll go Mariners Dodgers.
Okay.
I would like to see the Mariners. That's the heart pick. Out of the AL. Out of the NL, I'm going with my head, which is the Dodgers, despite the fact they're the 3 seed.
And the ones that got the most talent, top to bottom, especially pitching.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Great pitching, which carries you in the playoffs. I got to go Dodgers on that side.
I think Red Sox Phillies.
Red Sox Phillies.
I don't want to see Kyle Schwarber hit 198 with 55 home runs.
Who you guys have winning it all?
Too bad for you. You get
The
Christopher
M's,
Sanchez.
The M's, the Mariners. Give me the big dumper holding the big trophy.
I think it's the Phillies' year.
Give me
They finally get it done.
Give me the Dodgers winning it all.
Oh, yuck.
Sorry.
Boring.
Well, you guys have been awesome.
I'm picking
From
with my head,
Elijah,
guys.
From Justice, myself, and everyone out there. Stay safe, stay blessed. Have a great Tuesday. We'll catch you on a hump day.